Welcome to this in-depth session on Windows Server Basic Security Hardening. In today's connected world, servers are prime targets for cyberattacks. Whether you're running a server for a small business or managing infrastructure for a large enterprise, security hardening is absolutely critical. In this video, we'll explore practical, step-by-step methods to secure your Windows server against common threats, while keeping performance and usability intact. Windows Server powers critical business operations, hosting applications, managing users, storing confidential data, and connecting networks. But with this power comes responsibility. An unprotected server is like leaving your office door wide open at night. Sooner or later, someone will walk in. Security hardening is the process of locking down your server to minimize vulnerabilities and reduce attack surfaces. Today, we're going to cover updates and patches, user account management, firewall configuration, remote access security, disabling unnecessary services, auditing, and backup strategies. User account management. User accounts are the keys to your server, and you don't want extra keys floating around. Review all accounts regularly and remove any that are no longer needed. Disable the default administrator account if possible, or at least rename it to make it harder for attackers to guess. Implement strong password policies, requiring length, complexity, and regular expiration. Whenever possible, enable multi-factor authentication for critical accounts. Finally, apply the principle of least privilege, meaning each user gets the minimum permissions required to do their job, nothing more. Update and patch management. Let's start with the most basic yet often overlooked step, keeping your server updated. Attackers frequently exploit vulnerabilities that already have a fix available, simply because the patch was never installed. In Windows Server, you can configure automatic updates or set a maintenance schedule to apply updates during off-peak hours. Remember, security patches are not just for the operating system. Update your applications, drivers, and firmware as well. By staying updated, you close known security gaps before attackers can exploit them. Firewall configuration. A firewall is like the security gate to your server. The built-in Windows Defender firewall is powerful if configured properly. Start by blocking all inbound connections by default, and then explicitly allow only the traffic you need. For example, if your server is just a file server, you probably don't need web traffic allowed. You can also set outbound rules to prevent malicious software from communicating externally. Advanced administrators can use IP whitelisting, allowing access only from specific, trusted IP addresses. Another critical layer of server hardening is antivirus and malware protection. Always enable Windows Defender antivirus or a trusted third-party security solution. Make sure real-time protection is turned on, so threats are stopped as soon as they appear. Schedule weekly full scans to detect hidden malware that may bypass real-time checks. Finally, enable cloud-delivered protection. This allows your antivirus to use the latest threat intelligence from Microsoft, giving you faster detection against new and emerging attacks. Services and roles. Every running service on your server is a potential doorway for attackers. If your server isn't using a particular role or feature, disable it. For example, if your server is not acting as a print server, disable the print spooler service to prevent potential exploitation. Fewer running services mean fewer attack vectors and better performance. Perform a regular audit of installed roles and features, removing anything unnecessary. Security is not just about prevention, it's also about detection. Enable auditing for user logins, administrative changes, and file access. Regularly review event viewer logs for suspicious activity, such as repeated failed login attempts or changes to security settings. Logs are your best friend when investigating incidents, and having them properly configured can save hours during a security breach investigation. Protecting files and folders is one of the most important parts of server security. Always use NTFS permissions for sensitive data, because they give you granular control over who can read, write, or modify files. Never assign broad permissions like everyone or full control to non-administrators. This opens the door for misuse or accidental damage. Finally, enable access-based enumeration. This ensures that users only see the files and folders they are permitted to access, reducing the risk of curiosity-driven snooping or data leaks. Remote Desktop Protocol, or RDP, is one of the most common entry points attackers use, especially for brute force password attacks. If you must use RDP, never expose it directly to the open internet. Instead, secure it behind a VPN or restrict access to specific trusted IP addresses. Change the default RDP port from 3389 to a non-standard port to reduce automated scanning attempts. Always enable network-level authentication, which adds an extra layer of protection before a full session is established. Limit RDP access only to authorized administrator accounts, and regularly monitor Event Viewer for suspicious remote login attempts. With these measures in place, you can make RDP far less vulnerable to exploitation while still keeping remote management convenient. Asterisk. Security isn't just about stopping attacks, it's also about being prepared when things go wrong. That's why backup and recovery are essential parts of server hardening. Regularly back up your server configuration and critical business data. Don't just rely on local storage, use offsite or cloud backups to protect against hardware failures, ransomware, or even natural disasters. Just as important, test your backups regularly. A backup that can't be restored is useless. By practicing restores, you'll know your recovery process works when it matters most. Remember, a strong backup and recovery plan can turn a major disaster into a minor inconvenience. The final step in Windows Server hardening is enforcing a security baseline. Microsoft provides recommended baseline configurations that cover password policies, firewall rules, account restrictions, and more. Applying these baselines ensures that all servers in your environment follow consistent, industry-proven security settings. Regular audits help verify compliance and catch any drift from the baseline. By standardizing your security configurations, you reduce misconfigurations, minimize human error, and create a stronger overall defense posture. Think of baseline enforcement as locking in your best practices, making secure the default, not the exception.